The notion that global warming is a satanic mission to undermine Jesus may seem like a far-fetched and unfounded claim, but to some, it is a deeply held belief. This idea is often rooted in the belief that Satan is actively working to undermine God's plan for humanity and the earth. Proponents of this view argue that global warming is one of the many tools being used by Satan to bring about chaos and destruction, thereby undermining Jesus' message of love, redemption, and salvation. According to this perspective, Satan's ultimate goal is to lead humanity away from God and towards a path of destruction and despair. By promoting a culture of consumerism, greed, and environmental degradation, Satan is allegedly contributing to the acceleration of global warming. This, in turn, is seen as a way to undermine Jesus' teachings on stewardship, care for the poor, and the importance of living in harmony with nature. By destroying the planet, Satan is, in effect, destroying God's creation and thereby undermining the very foundations of Jesus' message. Some proponents of this view point to the biblical account of creation, where God gives humanity dominion over the earth and commands us to care for it. They argue that by neglecting our responsibility to protect the environment, we are, in effect, succumbing to Satan's influence and contributing to the destruction of God's creation. Furthermore, they argue that the consequences of global warming, such as more frequent natural disasters, droughts, and famines, are a direct result of Satan's efforts to bring about chaos and destruction. Others argue that the push for renewable energy, sustainable living, and environmental regulations is, in fact, a plot to control humanity and undermine individual freedom. They claim that these efforts are part of a larger agenda to create a one-world government which will be controlled by Satan and his minions. According to this view, the emphasis on environmentalism and sustainability is merely a smokescreen for a more sinister plot to enslave humanity and undermine Jesus' teachings on individual liberty and responsibility. However, this perspective raises more questions than it answers. If global warming is indeed a satanic mission to undermine Jesus, then why are so many Christians and Christian organizations actively working to combat climate change? Many Christian denominations and organizations are actively engaged in environmental activism, promoting sustainable living and advocating for policies that protect the environment. Are these efforts also part of Satan's plan, or are they, in fact, a genuine attempt to live out Jesus' teachings on stewardship and care for creation? Moreover, if Satan is indeed behind the push for environmental regulations and sustainable living, then why are so many secular organizations and governments also promoting these same efforts? Is it not possible that the desire to protect the environment and mitigate the effects of climate change is, in fact, a universal human impulse that transcends religious or ideological boundaries? Could it not be that the shared concern for the planet is, in fact, a manifestation of our shared humanity, rather than a satanic plot to undermine Jesus? In conclusion, while the idea that global warming is a satanic mission to undermine Jesus may be a deeply held belief for some, it is a notion that is not supported by empirical evidence or biblical teaching. The Bible teaches us to care for the poor, the vulnerable, and the environment, and to live in harmony with nature. The push for environmental regulations, sustainable living, and renewable energy is, in fact, a manifestation of these values, rather than a plot to undermine Jesus' teachings. Ultimately, the fight against global warming is a moral and spiritual imperative that requires a collective response, rather than a partisan or ideological one. By working together to protect the environment, we are, in fact, living out Jesus' teachings on love, compassion, and stewardship, rather than undermining them.